Welcome to almost the final reading of the work week, Thursday. I talked to some of my colleagues at Creative Life Spiritual Center after I did the reading yesterday, and I explained to them what I was doing this month, that I was dipping in now and again into this month's daily readings, but that 30 days just talking about the environment was way too much for these guides. And they said, yeah, they agree, because these daily guides are not meant to be a lecture on the environment, which is incredibly important, and everybody agreed on that, but they're meant to be uplifting. They're meant to be uplifting mentally, spiritually, and physically. So what I've been doing is digging back into older copies, and I thought, well, why don't I go back and see what was in the daily reading for the 17th of April, 2024. And I read it and I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. It's by Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen. He's the senior minister at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. It's in Encinitas, I think, California. It's north of San Diego. And I used to go there a lot when I was in practitioner training, which is before my ministerial training. So I've been there quite a bit. Plus, my wife had a cousin who lived not too far from there. But that is beside the point. So anyhow, I picked this reading. It's called Unconditional Faith. And for me, it kind of fits the bill right now. So I hope for you, it also fits the bill. First quote is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 33. And he says, "But seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you." But first seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. In other words, build that strong foundation first. It would be silly to start diving in the sea if you had no training. It would be nuts to try and swim out at sea if you're not a strong swimmer and you hadn't had a lot of practice. I did a lot of rock climbing in my earlier years. It would be silly to attempt really hard climbs unless you'd had some experience, and initially unless you had somebody to guide you. So you had to build that strong foundation. You had to have physical strength and mental strength. You had to build that, or you wouldn't succeed. That's what it's saying here. The next quote is from Ernest Holmes, and he says, "When prayer removes distrust, and when prayer removes distrust, and doubt enters the hang on a second, I read this before, it was all right. Oh, when prayer removes distrust and doubt and enters the field of mental certainty, the prayer that is, it becomes faith, and the universe is built on faith. So when we move into that knowingness, that's when the good things start to happen. That was Ernest Holmes. It doesn't say where it's from, actually. And this is Christian Sorensen. He says, "Faith is easy when everything's going your way. Everything's easy when everything's going your way. When you're healthy, business is booming, the children are good, and your relationship is passionate and co-creative. When life seems not to be going your way, when your prayers aren't being answered, and you're struggling, and the demands of the world feel constrictive, it's easy to say, I'll be happy when everything works out." In other words, your faith becomes conditional. Once the money starts flowing again, or my health gets better, or my children start listening to me, then I'll have faith. God, once you meet my demands on my time frame, I'll have faith once more. But we've all been there, right? We've even done the bargaining thing. Hey, I will stop doing this, or I will do this if you'll do this for me, God. We've all done these kind of things. Reverend Christian goes on to say, anything you must have to be happy leaves you out of balance and vulnerable to the material world. While it's good to know the direction in which you're headed and the goals before you, don't allow them to become all consuming. Otherwise, You have put something before God as a condition of being happy and substitute whatever you like for God. This false idol will control your ability to be happy, leaving space for frustration and disappointment to become the ruling energies of your life. Then he says something, and he's quoting Holmes here, even though he doesn't say it. Have the faith of God and not in God or in anything else. And we'll come back to that. When the court decision doesn't go your way, the medical report doesn't say what you want, or the deal doesn't go through, he says, don't lose your happiness. I would say, don't lose your joy. There's a giant nature of gentleness that comes when you remember that your life is not based on outcomes. You can experience faith remembering your source is greater than anything in this world. And somehow this moment in time is taking you on your soul's perfect path. It's not easy to have faith, is it, when things are going adrift? But if you buy into all the stuff that goes with that, then you start digging yourself even deeper in a big hole. And I corrected what I think correction is when he's saying when things don't go your way, don't lose your happiness. Don't lose your joy. Happiness is more fleeting. Joy is something that underscores your life, and it means you built that solid foundation. And then going back, he says, have the faith of God and not in God or in anything else. In other words, do what Jesus did. He didn't say, oh, I know God is going to do this for me. No, he just knew the thing was going to happen. He would say, I always quote this, Lazarus, come out. He didn't wonder, hey, I need to use the faith of God to do this. No, I mean, it's a faith in God that God's going to do this. Well, the difference is this. You're saying, I believe that God is going to do this for me. But when you got the faith of God, what you say is that the power of God is flowing through me. And I know because that power is flowing through me, that when I combine my thoughts and my feelings together, that this is going to happen because that power is flowing through me, in me, and as me. And I'm not pleading. So, in other words, it's taking you out of saying, I know God can do this, to where, hey, this is the way that the world, the universe has been set up. That once I combine my thoughts and my feelings strongly enough, that this power, which is in and through and has everything, is going to bring this about. It's not my power. It's not your power. It's not anybody else's power. It's the power of the one, the all, that runs in and through and has everything, that keeps the universe or universes moving, that keeps them whole, that gives us the ability to manifest in this plane things that we conjure up with thought and feeling in our minds, because everything comes from the divine. Hope that makes sense. And let me see. My unconditional faith prevails in the face of all challenges. This is where you're declaring that you're making that strong foundation. My unconditional faith prevails in the face of all challenges. My unconditional faith prevails in the face of all challenges. You can change it any way you want. My knowingness prevails in the face of all challenges, if you want to change it to that. Look out for Reverend Lisa tomorrow at 9:15-ish. Daniel Mercadal should have been on about noon yesterday, or 11, somewhere between 11:15 and noon. I didn't check to make sure that she had been on because I was so busy. But please tune in to Reverend Lisa tomorrow morning if you got the time. Tune in to me tomorrow evening if you got the time. And if you don't have time to do it when we're on live, hey, you can reach us on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. You can reach me on my own Facebook page, David Dewhurst. You can reach me on, let me see, where else does it go? Oh, it goes to Prosperity Living's Facebook page. It actually goes onto my YouTube. And then in addition, if you're on LinkedIn, I post on LinkedIn almost every day. And I post on, let me see, Instagram, but I've got a bunch of friends I post to on there. I post on Mastodon. Blue Sky, Threads. The only one I don't post on is X because I see all this controversy on X between left and right all the time, and I don't want to get mixed up in that. So, anyway, until next time, namaste.